Hello. In this video, we are going to continue looking at the Azure Managed Application. And we're going to look at specifically at how to publish the managed application using Partner Center portal, which is meant for ISVs and publishers, and then how to test a deployment of the application in an end customer Azure subscription, so using a separate Azure Active Directory tenant than what we did. So what is an Azure Managed Application creation flow? So a partner, we're going to play the role of the partner. We're going to define an offer. Then we're going to specify, we already have the ARM template and a custom UX definition from our previous video for a simple hello world that deploys a virtual network and storage. We're going to need a few pieces of information, such as the tenant ID of the publisher, the Azure Active Directory, we're going to use for access to that offer, the principal ID of the group inside of that directory, and the role definition. We're going to make ourselves owners, for example, or a contributor. Then we're going to publish it into the marketplace. Then we're going to play a role of a customer using another Azure Active Directory and Azure subscription to make a purchase. It will deploy it using Azure Managed Application Resource Provider inside of the customer subscription. And we're going to have the managed application deployed. We're going to have the managed resource group with the storage and a VNet created that will be locked for the customer, but it will have a role assignment for the publisher. So let's take a look at how we're going to do that. So if we take a look at the documentation inside of Azure Managed App documentation, there is a tutorial for publishing to the marketplace. We're basically going to go through what's described here, so you can definitely just follow this yourself. But I'm going to take you through the steps in the video quickly to show how it feels, creating a new offer, setting the offer settings, uploading some information, and doing other things. So you get an end-to-end flow, hopefully, in a brief way. And then we're going to do the test deployment. So where is our managed application code itself? It's inside of this AMA zip file. If you remember from previous video, we created the UI definition, the template, and a view definition. We zipped it up, and now we have the zip file. So what do we do next? Next, we need to go to the Partner Center. Assumption is that you already have access to Partner Center because you are a Microsoft partner. You're logged in into your account, and you're able to see this new offer button. So this is something that's prerequisite for following along in this video. So let's begin. New offer, Azure application. I'm going to give it an offer ID, Azure Managed App, Hello World 01. Let's give the alias the same so it's easier to search inside of the UI. Okay, and then it's going to take us to the screens that we will have to fill out one by one. Okay, so we are not going to enable test drive. We're going to keep the alias as we provided. We are not going to connect it yet to a customer lead system at this point. We'll do that later. Let's go to properties. So in properties, we're going to say we're going to use the standard legal terms. There's much more to read and learn about what that is, but focusing on the technical pieces right now. Let's pick a storage related category. Maybe we'll pack backup and recovery and data lake management, save draft. Then we're going to move on to the offer listing section. We're going to basically just say this is going to be search results summary. This is going to be short description. This is going to be description. So we're going to keep it very simple so we don't have to fill out too much. And we'll do that. For the privacy link, this needs to be something that's real to get this approved for preview. We had a couple useful links. This is where you would link, for example, to your user guide and other things. We're going to fill this information out. I'm going to fill it out. I'm going to pause the video so it's faster. So I filled up the top part of the information. Now we get into the logos. So I have some pre-created images for the logos. So 216 is the large logo. We need a screenshot. So let's grab the screenshot right here. Videos are not required. Let's see. Now it created medium and small. We couldn't change them, but it made them out of the large one, which is super convenient. Need to add a screenshot capture, sample image one. Great. Save draft. And we're going to move on to the preview audience tab. So what does this preview audience mean? This is the place where we are going to, these are, it provides subscriptions which can deploy this offer before it's fully published live for everybody. So let's add our end customer subscription here. So I'm going to my subscription, grabbing subscription ID of the end customer where we're going to deploy this as a test. I'm just going to say that will be the subscription. Great. We can add multiple here. Technical configuration, the next tab. So what we're going to put here is the tenant ID and the Active Directory application ID that we will use to potentially submit metered billing events to the billing service. So for that, we're going to use our publisher subscription. So I'm right now change this to my um, publisher. I'm going to pretend this is the publisher using my MSD and Visual Studio subscription. Active Directory. I'm going to get the tenant ID from right here. So this is our tenant ID. And we're going to put it right here. And the application that we would potentially use to submit a metered billing, if we eventually decide to do that, will be one of the applications. And we're going to use this one, AV Managed App. Let's just grab this ID and put it inside of this field, save draft. Again, this is not required unless we're using metered service APIs, but we'll just put it there because maybe we will eventually. Going to create a new plan. So the way it's structured is we have an offer representing the managed application offer itself with its title, description, and images, and then underneath it we can have different plans with different pricing, potentially different configurations. So think of an offer as a stock keeping unit, SKU, or a variant of that uh, application. So we're going to call this plan 01. Just keep a boring name, plan 01 for now. So that will create a placeholder for the plan. It will open up a plan view, which one it is, a managed application. This is important. So over here, we want to make sure we select managed application. Okay, and then we're going to say only in the Azure Global, let's not put in Azure Government for now. So it's separate marketplaces between the two clouds. Plan listing. So what we're going to do here is provide a little bit of a title and description for the plan specifically. So plan 01 summary, plan 01 description, and this one can be more fancy. Okay, save draft. Pricing and availability at this moment. So what do we do here? For pricing and availability, we're going to specify $0 to keep it simple. We're going to edit markets and select all markets for this test. Obviously, your things will be different for whatever the real thing you're doing, but for a test, I'm putting it as 0. Plan visibility is going to be public. If we decide to publish it, but we are never going to publish this fully, it's going to be staying in preview. So I'm going to just keep it like that. Private would allow me to, even once it goes live, to restrict it to some audiences. And then technical configuration. This is the key part. So we need to specify a version in a SEM version format. This is going to be our version. We need a zip file. If you remember, we made the zip file of our app before. So let's just grab that zip file and drag it right over here. We are not going to enable just-in-time access in this demo to keep things simple. If we do, the consumers to use this application will need to have Azure Active Directory Premium uh, version. Okay, we're going to keep complete deployment model. Oh, very good. So it popped up with a validation saying, hey, your template package does not contain the required GUID for tracking. And this is because when we built this zip file, we created a template that was simple and usable in the local subscription and Active Directory, but not good enough for Marketplace. It's missing something. Let's see what is missing. So to show what's missing, I went and did a quick uh, search online to for Azure usage attribution, commercial marketplace, partner and customer usage attribution. What we need to do is inside of our template, based on this document, we need to add a little bit of code for tracking our GUID, Global Unique Identifier, that we will use for ourselves. So let's go back to our template and add this code there. I'll clean it up. So I cleaned up this while the video was paused, but we still need to fill this in with a GUID of some sort. So what is GUID and where do we get it? This documentation explains that we should go and generate a GUID for ourselves somewhere. It doesn't have to be even here. I went to an online GUID generator and generated the GUID. So I'm just going to take this GUID, and this is going to be the GUID I will use inside of this PID. And let's take a look what else it says. So we need to grab the GUID. Let's see, do they want lowercase or uppercase, or it doesn't matter? So it seems like lowercase, so let's make one in lowercase just to match exactly with the documentation, just in case. So lowercase GUID, great. And then what we need to do, it says, is we need to register this GUID with our Partner Center account by going into the Partner Center to the account page and add tracking GUID. So let's go here, developer settings. Let's open it in a new window so we don't lose what we already created. Great. It will open up our account settings page. Scroll down here and we're going to add a tracking GUID. GUID here, and this is going to be hello world for the application. So this is just to tie the resources that are deployed to us, for us, for our publisher account. And you can read more about how it works on this document page, okay? But the good thing is that once we did it, we should be able to re-upload the zip file. So let's recreate the zip file really quick. So we're going to open a terminal window, and we're going to run our little zip command. So we get the new zip file recreated. And let's see if now, if we remove this one and upload the updated one, if the validation succeeds. So it didn't give us an error anymore, or let's see, maybe it will still. Notification endpoint URL, what is this? So here is, we can receive webhook notifications when our application is deployed by customers. And I want to show how to do that. So let's open up a place where we can get ourselves like a webhook endpoint, simple one, that will show us all the calls that were received to that endpoint. So let's say using this service piped dream, I created a source called HTTP AMA Hello World, and it gave me this URL. And if I now, just to show you, go to this URL as a GET request, it just says success, and it tracks these GET requests or the POST requests. So we're going to send our notifications there. In real life, this would be your endpoint, your SaaS endpoint, your Azure Functions, etc. Customize allowed customer actions. We for now going to do to keep it we're not going to use it. If we use it, we can add specific customer actions here to allow for VNet peering, etc. Active Directory Tenant ID. This is super important. This is the information of the publisher. So here we're going to put the publisher tenant ID, the same one we looked at before. So let's pick that tenant ID. Okay. And we are going to put a principal and a role definition. We're going to make it an owner. And let's see which principal are we going to be using. The best practice is to use a group. So I created a group called Managed App Group. And we're going to use its object ID. So anybody inside of this group, inside of this tenant of the publisher, will be able to be an owner to resources in a managed group resource group. And we can add multiple. I'm going to save draft. So it looks like validations worked okay here. So our draft was saved. Let's go back to the previous page. We have the plan. Consult with Microsoft page, we're probably just going to skip. Okay. Yep, for now we're going to skip. Resell through CSPs, we're going to skip for now for testing. It's not technical related. Let's say just no and save draft. And then we're going to go to review and publish. And because for me, this is super test application, I'm never going to really publish it. I'm going to say here, this application is for testing only, and it will not be published to go live. Just so that people who review it know what I intend to do here. And I will say publish. This will kick off a process, and the process will show me its progress here. So I'll pause the video, we'll give it some time for this process to finish. This may take some time. This part will not take that long as it shows, but then to get ourselves the preview URLs, which will appear in this box, may take a couple hours. So I will pause the video and we'll continue once we have those there. All right, so it looks like it finished. It got to give us these links for preview. Remember that even if you see these links, it may still not work. It may need an hour or a few hours. Right, it says over here up to 4 hours for the offer to be ready in preview. But let's see if it works. So I'm going to open that preview link. If we get a like not found or some other error, it may mean that it's not yet ready. If we get a successful um, offer view, then we'll try to deploy it. Great. So we see the successful view of the same things we submitted, the plans, plan one, create a button. We'll see our create UI definition with our parameter that we specified for name. Let's create new resource group. So we'll call it AMA Hello World, Azure Managed Application Hello World. We'll put it in EastUS2. Use some short name here so that way it fits within the limits of the storage account name that we're creating. Let's put this MRG. I just like more clean name than the default one it creates. On the next stage, it will run some validation. Here again, in another place, we may see an error if it didn't finish replicating. $0 is the price. Co-admin access permission means we're providing the ISV. This is a managed app, and this is what it's talking about. We're giving them access to this resource group that we create, and we'll say create. Okay, so it will kick off the deployment, and we'll give it a few minutes. I'll pause the video while it's going through the deployment. So it looks like our deployment finished. Great. Let's go to resource and take a look what we have. So this is our managed application. If you remember from previous video, this was the view definition. This is the support information that we filled out in the portal with the support link. This is the managed resource group name. We did not provide the managed identity for this application, so that's fine. Remember, we gave it owner access to the publisher. That's great. We provided a parameter for the name and the um, location. Let's take a look at the managed resource group. We should see a storage account here. Again, we are the customer. We're looking from the customer side. And we have the VNet. Let's see if we can get the keys for the storage account using the access keys view. And we are noticing this expected error. The reason this happens, you don't have access, is because this is actually a post request. To post request to do the list keys operation. And because there is a system deny assignment right here, it's a system deny assignment by the managed application. So we are in great shape. It looks like it is. A customer cannot get the keys. That's good. Let's take a look at something else. Let's try to see, can we, for example, delete this VNet? And we again see we cannot delete the VNet. Why all of this happens is if we look to the access control right here, going to the access control, and then we're going to look at the deny assignments. The system added the deny assignment for all principals, system deny assignment, and we can see that all principals are denied all actions except the read actions here on this resource group, and that's why we cannot do anything as the customer. Okay, so as the customer we cannot do anything. Let's see from the publisher side, what do we see? So on the publisher side, Managed Application Center. Let's go to the Managed Application Center in the publisher side. So I just searched right here, and we can see Marketplace Applications Service. So we are picking this link right here, and we can see that we got this Hello World application. That's the one we just deployed. So let's click on it and see what do we see. We see what was the name that the end customer gave it, what's the resource group where it is, which version it was deployed, who the customer is, what the subscription is, which plan they deployed, and we can now go and see the managed application itself of the customer. Again, notice we are logged in now as the publisher using my MSDN subscription, and if I click here, I am right now logged in as this publisher, not as this customer. So if we go to the storage account, we are able to see the storage keys. We are able to reset the keys, okay? And we are able to do other things, like for example, we are able to, well, basically anything. We can add a tag, the VNet. So as a customer, we are logged in, and we cannot do it from the customer side, but we can see this tag got added. So I'm on the customer side, I should be able to see the tag is right there. But as a publisher in my Chrome browser right here, I'm a publisher and I have permissions because the deny assignments that we saw, they are applied only to the customer, but for the publisher, this is allowed because that's how this application was set up, right, with an owner access. Okay, awesome. And let's just take a look at one last thing for this short video is, remember we set up webhooks in our offer. So just to remind you, we went here and we told it, hey, whenever there is some activity happening with this managed application, such as deploying or deleting it, let us know optionally through to this webhook endpoint. So let's see what we see. So I'm going to look at the endpoint. This was us testing the gets, and notice there's two posts. And if we explore, we can see something super interesting. It made the post with body JSON containing very useful information, the customer subscription, the resource group, what the name the application, and which version of the application, and it was accepted, right? So basically all of this went in the body of the post to us. So if our endpoint received it, we could have known all of this information. There's some header information that comes as well, and some authorization, better header as well. We can take a look at what's there in another time, but this is the post to us. And then this is the, notice the accepted call. So this is when it started deploying, okay, 1720 UTC. And this is when it succeeded deploying. And basically in the succeeded, this way know that the successful deployment of this application happened. And if as a customer, the customer is logged in their account, and they go to the managed application that we created, and they say, I want to delete this managed application, I'm just deleting the whole resource group, what we should be able to see is inside of this post, we will see the deletion request in a second. So we can see once the deletion, so that's the accept, that's the succeeded, and we have the deleting request for that managed application come in. And then these are, it's deleting, deleting, deleting. And then right here is the deleted confirmation that, hey, this application deletes. As a publisher, you can receive these webhooks and know when a customer deleted the managed application, and it will disappear from your managed application center after the deletion is fully done. It may take a little bit of time, but you can see right now it disappeared. and obviously it would disappear from the customer's view as well. All right, so that application disappeared and there's no more notifications. So this was a quick view at publishing in the Publisher Center, the simple Hello World application, deploying it, and how it looks from both sides, the publisher side and customer side. In the following videos, we'll go deeper into topics of including some advanced resources in a managed application and dive much deeper than these first two videos. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.